What's going on, fight fans? This is Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Rob Jarrell, and this is my initial reaction to the Sergeykovalev Anthony Yarde championship matchup, was just ended. You probably watched it. Sergeykovalev ended with a great knockout in the 11th round over the upstart Yarde out of Great Britain. And if you watch Hakeem's preview video, this pretty much went, a lot of the things that we talked about is what happened. And to be honest, Andre Ward called it. He said that Sergeykovalev would actually knock out Anthony Yarde in the 11th round late in the fight. So who knows this guy except his primary rival outside of Beterbiev, other than Andre Ward. Sorry, I'm sweating. I've watched it on my app and I'm kind of doing this in the car, as you can see, but let's get into it. What we saw is what we normally see from Sergeykovalev. Someone who wants to keep you at the end of his punches. He's an outfighter. He likes those long, stiff punches. But the difference in this fight was he did not unnecessarily push or waste punches. What he did is he worked that jab. And what I told Hakeem is that because he rolls, he doesn't really dodge a lot of punches. Anthony Yarde could be caught with the right hand, whether it's a counter right or lead right. And you saw that. You work off the jab and you cannot turn every punch with your head against Kovalev. He just hits too hard. He's too accurate, and he brings a lot of he brings a heavy amount of punches. So we saw that in the first round. He would throw the occasional jab downstairs just to keep Yarde honest, but Yarde, being younger, being fresher, was able to weather that in the first half of the fight and actually did a lot going to the body. But those jabs and that accumulated damage over the course of 11 rounds really took a toll on Anthony Yarde. He had a great 6th, 7th, and especially 8th round where he really, if you want to go by Teddy Atlas, put a lot of water in the basement and went downstairs to Kovalev and then countered up top with his own right hands and left hooks on the inside. But Anthony Yarde had never been past 7 rounds. Actually, he's only gone to decision once in his second pro fight. And you know, those are 4-rounders. And you know what it is with those 4-rounders. I mean, that doesn't prepare you for the long haul. And leading up to the fight, sorry for the sweating, it's hot outside. So, leading up to the fight, Anthony Yarde and his trainer said they didn't do a bunch of sparring or traditional sparring. You can't do that in a fight such as this one, sorry. You can't do that in a fight such as this one for a guy with Kovalev who doesn't go a lot of 12 rounds, but has enough experience going 12 rounds to take you deep, especially because he has always had his own stamina issues. And in this case, he was able to, excuse me for 1 second. That was starting to get to me. Don't laugh at me. I'm outside. A guy who still doesn't do great going 12 rounds, but can still go 12 rounds if need be and win the decision or get the late round knockout, will do so. And you can see after that 8th round, Anthony Yarde consistently going downhill, and you can see Sergeykovalev turning up his activity, going to the body, and mainly coming upstairs, consistently landing that right hand, which Anthony Yarde was continuously unable to turn with, to defend, and it really took a lot out of him. Kovalev out-jabbed him by about 5 or 6 times, which is not uncommon, but again, it's that accumulation of damage from a guy who hits as hard as Kovalev, especially with those straight punches, which was weird because once you got to the 11th round, Anthony Yarde's legs were totally gone. I mean, he had no balance, no power on those shots after the 8th round, and his hands were down. And that's not good versus Kovalev, because he tried to throw some lazy counter hook and Kovalev threw his own left hook upstairs, and not that it was super hard, but it was hard enough to put him down. But Anthony Yarde was so tired that he could not get up. And again, those sparring, a guy like Kovalev, unless you're trying to tire him out in the later half of the fight, you need your fighter to spar rounds, because they have to be confident that they can get past their longest fight against a guy who is a huge step up. And this does not bode well, because I think Anthony Yarde might fight under Hearn. I can't remember who his promoter is, but again, that's not good. because the level of competition that Yarde has had up until now has not been great. And I think his best fights was Nicolo Sergeykovalev, a guy who was able to put hands on him, but really couldn't get past the 4th or 5th round. And every time he stepped up, he got knocked out. And this was, to me, a miscalculation on his training camp. Not to say that they're bad fighters, but you're going up against a guy that's experienced and good as Sergeykovalev. You need to be able to go 12 hard rounds, or at least 10 hard rounds with 2 that you could take off and maybe weather the storm. So, I mean, he put up a good fight. He looked good through a certain amount, but it's when you get further and further into that match, he just could not, he just couldn't weather the storm. He just couldn't make it. And it looks like he had blew his load in the 8th round, which I'm not surprised because he was able to hurt Kovalev consistently. But Kovalev was able to continue with his punches, and we know he's fought guys like Andre Ward, Elida Alvarez after he took the belt from him, belt back from him, Jean Pascal. So, I mean, he's the champ. And apparently Anthony Yarde was offered step-aside money for Sergeykovalev to face Canelo Alvarez. As good as Canelo is, I don't think he wants to see a guy like Kovalev right now. He thought he might want it to, but right now I wouldn't do it unless Kovalev takes big money. So that's all I got for you today. We'll do a full recap later, but I just want to bring this initial reaction to you. If you have any questions, feel free to email us, capitalcombat@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Put it in the comments down below. Be respectful to us, be respectful to yourselves. If you have anything else you want to say, we are always here to reach out. And until next time, fight on.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming.